Hey, how's it going? So now I'm gonna be talking about backend and what that is. As well as perhaps bringing more people's attention to how things are being developed. There's a lot of strategical as well as operational things that needs to be taken into account that most of the time people do not see those things. But there are a lot of very busy people. Either those people are in software development as well as manufacturing. Just would like to bring more people's attention to in overall perhaps engineering and everything what comes into it. When we thinking about vertical integration, it can be forward and or backward. So in this video, I would like to bring more people's attention into backward integration and everything what might be in comparison for myself, if anything. Others would say that it doesn't really make sense. For me, it makes a lot of sense, especially that understanding these kind of data and things and everything. What all the work that will be required into bringing or understanding all of those people's understanding to how taking something very complex and making it very simple to understand and how to develop not necessarily a IT project but how you can develop overall wider area of things like products or services. In the context of software development, backend refers to a service side of the applications or system. It's the part of software applications or website that's responsible for managing and processing data, performing calculations, and handling requests from the front end. Let's take a look at some of the key characteristics and responsibilities of the backend. Data management, back end systems manage data, storage, and retrieval. This includes interacting with database, file systems, and other data sources. Server logic. Backend code contains the logic and algorithm that governs how the application works. It processes data, performs calculations, and enforces business rules or set rules by engineer, right? So person who have code those rules into the system in the first place. User authentication and authorization. Perhaps that's first thing myself I'll be focusing on, and it seems like there's a lot of current attention where people look at right now, at least my understanding, as well as there are some other interesting projects that I'll share in a couple of next videos of what my opinions are, and some of the research that I have done on this particular area, and some of the projects that yourself you might be interested in. Coming back to user authentication and authorization, backend systems are responsible for user authentication, verifying users' identity and how potentially some of the processes are being done right now, and authorization, determining what actions and users is allowed to perform. Perhaps that should be a key area depending on what kind of software you yourself you if not using as a customer. Perhaps if you were as someone who as an engineer developing a software would it need to have three different interfaces: super panel, customer panel, or perhaps a number of businesses panel. That's one way how you can structure a project. Security. Backend developers implement security measures to protect and applications and its data from authorization access, data breaches, and other security threats. This task, while it's very important, it can be very challenging. Either working with software or hardware, perhaps not right now, in the future. I can share a quick story. Some of the massive, large companies that I was a part of, and how much attention was given to particularly security and how many different people out there might pay extra for security of particular software or data that you need to handle, or at the very least you need to bring yourself and other people's attention to potentially a product or services that you're going to be developing, and if not right now, perhaps in the future. If you would be able to focus a lot of your attention on security, you could potentially make it more valuable. As well as overall experience, number of users. There's a lot of different things that you should focus on. If anything, security should be at the top of priority list. APIs, application programming interfaces. Backend systems often provide APIs that allow the front end or external services to communicate with and access the application's functionality and data. APIs, I have seen massive or top tech companies have that, and so how they look at those. I need to understand a little bit better. I think that there might be a lot of opportunities in this particular area. I do not understand APIs that well. I wish I did, but yeah, just having access to perhaps some of the software, how they're interacting. And so I need to understand APIs, and I personally believe there is a more opportunities there. If anything, I need to understand a little bit more what APIs are. Scalability. If not in the beginning, then developing your testing, your product, minimum valuable product or MVP, and how you're gonna launch it. Not necessarily you should focus upfront when developing it, but you need to understand that once it's been developed up to technology readiness level number 5, and you're gonna look to scale that project potentially, that's gonna be one of the obstacles, and what kind of infrastructure you're gonna use to do that, and what are the current there in the market, what were the prices, and you might, I'm afraid to say that you might be required to rebuild the entire project based on that. Well, so that's just a part of the overall cycle, that's a part of the process, right? First, you need to have a good idea, develop the project, and see if that project potentially can have an attraction, and how much time you want to build and develop deploy the first project, and you might need to rebuild it, and once it's rebuilt it, you might be able to do it better, faster. You might overcome some of the obstacles, as well as you might be able to develop more scalable project, but not necessarily that would be a first or in the front of your mind in the beginning. Performance. Optimizing performance of the applications is a key responsibility of the backend team. This involves reducing response times and ensuring that the application can handle high level of traffic effectively. It comes back to UI UX, right? Some of the experiences, and perhaps very good images or graphics, and how that would potentially cause a lot of stress down the line and latency. Over years, these systems are all constantly improving, and there are a lot of smart people who constantly think about how to improve some of the existing systems. But either way, it's just something to keep in mind, right? Common programming languages and frameworks used in backend development include Python, Java, Ruby, Node, so some of those I mentioned, as well as there are a number of many different languages. Most likely, I'm going to be working with Node.js. Most likely, it's something I'll be working on. I'm most interested in C++. So it's something that I constantly thinking of and learning. Perhaps not right now, in the future. Looking to learn that, as well as Node.js. Most likely, something I'm going to be working with. The choice of language and framework depends on the specific requirements of the project and preferences of the development team. For those of you who are interested in learning more of how to be more productive, effective, and in achieving your goals, I have developed this tool. It's a daily planner. It's focused so you could develop habits that will last. That means giving enough time. That would be 3 months, a quarter. as well as later on it will be a necessary tool to focus on your finance. Perhaps if you were to begin with your personal finance, from your personal finance you can progress into running a company, managing different budgets, and you should focus your finance around structuring in the quarters and your quarterly performance, overall company's performance, right? If anything, when you thinking about how to structure your time, before even starting that, you should focus on 24 hours, and this tool is just for that. You can find it in the description below, as well as top retailers has it. Just to summarize everything with regards to software development and backend, overall, if anything, I would like to bring more attention. If you were to develop a software, you need to understand as well as physical engineering, and having a product or service is not necessarily just a software, right? So if you need some assistance with that, how to do it, how to manufacture things on a large scale, something I do understand very well, and something with regards to software I have to do, but some other areas I do understand very well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one.